Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Hidayatullah from Department of Biophysics, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Today we are going to talk about model sequence alignment methods part 2 from bioinformatics. After completing this model, you should be able to understand about sequence alignment scoring using dynamic programming method, introduction to PAM and BLOSUM matrices, introduction about the heuristic methods, why we are using the heuristic method, because you want to search a query sequence against a large databases. So heuristics methods are the best methods which is used currently. So one of the examples for the heuristic methods is the BLAST and FASTA. So I will be introducing you to BLAST and FASTA. I'll also explain BLAST and FASTA with examples. I will also discuss about the multiple sequence alignment and with an example of cluster W. To search a query sequence against a database, we need algorithms which can find correct hits with greater sensitivity. That means it should match the correct bases. Like for example, if you take a protein sequence of a length of 10 bases, 10 amino acids, then it should have the sensitivity, the algorithm should have a sensitivity to find this 10 query sequence against the databases and find correct matches. Then it should also have a specificity to exclude the incorrect hits or false positive. The algorithm should be very fast speed to get results as fast as possible. If you have an extensive search which is running for days, then those algorithms are not best match for the sequence alignment. So to satisfy all these three requirements, one need to use rigorous algorithm to find best match. So one of those or algorithms which is most widely used is the dynamic programming algorithm, which is a best example for exhaustive method. The other method is the heuristic method. It's another type of computational strategy to find an empirical and near optimal solution for sequence alignment. Both this method are very good, but they use shortcut strategy to find best solution without sacrificing the accuracy. But however, this method does not guarantee you the best results. This gives an approximate estimation. So when you look at the dynamic programming method, which can be used for the nucleotide sequence or it can be used for the protein sequence. The general rule for a dynamic programming algorithm is to quantify the possibility of one amino acid or a nucleotide being substituted by another residue or a nucleotide. So the algorithm scores based on the substitution matrix where one amino acid is replaced by another amino acid with a similar physicochemical properties. Whereas in case of nucleotides, it can be a purine replaced by purine, pyrimidine replaced by pyrimidine. So the scoring system is called as the substitution matrix, which is derived from the statistics analysis of the residue substitution data from a set of reliable alignment of a highly related sequences. So once you have the highly related sequence alignment, from that you try to score. How do you score? You score if you have two matches. If two amino acids are matching each other, then they are called as positive. Then a high scoring is given. So the high scoring or positive score is called as match. When you don't have a match, then if it has a negative score, then it is called as a mismatch. So based on the high scoring and the low scoring, you will design whether the alignment is great or not. Then after that, you score this matrix for the individual nucleotide or individual protein sequences. Whereas for the nucleotide sequence, it is relatively very simple, where the substitution between purines to purine or between pyrimidine to purine or pyrimidine to pyrimidine or between purine to pyrimidine, it is very simple since it has only 4 nucleotide bases. Whereas in case of protein sequences, you have 20 amino acids. Each amino acid having different physicochemical properties. It is hydrophobic, aliphatic, aromatic, all those informations has to be incorporated during a substitution matrix. So the scoring matrix for the amino acid sequence are more complicated, as the scoring based on the likelihood of substitution of amino acids with a similar physical chemical properties, it becomes more complicated. It becomes 20 into 20 substitution matrix which has to be calculated for the protein sequence alignment. In dynamic programming algorithm, the sequence alignment for the nucleotide based sequence is very easy. Whereas for the protein sequences, the substitution matrix need to be longer because you have different types of amino acids. In this slide, you are seeing that the protein different classification of protein amino acids. So for protein scoring, you need to have 20 into 20 matrices. So here you see that the amino acids have been classified into different groups like aliphatic, hydrophobic, aromatic, negatively charged amino acids, positively charged amino acids, polar charged amino acids, very small tiny amino acids. So based on this physical and biochemical properties, a 20 into 20 substitution matrix has to be calculated for the protein sequence alignment. So based on the classification of amino acids, we observed that protein sequences are classified as tiny, aliphatic, aromatic, positively charged, negatively charged. So you have been classified based on the biophysical and biochemical properties. So based on that, you need to calculate 20 into 20 substitution matrix which has to be devised for the amino acid substitution. So there are essentially two types of substitution matrix. One is the interchangeability of the genetic code or amino acid properties. That means one amino acid can be coded by 3 or 4 genetic codes. So that is one possibility. The other is based on derived from the empirical studies of the amino acid substitution. So the empirical approach has gained most popularity in the sequence alignment applications. The widely used methods are PAM matrix, that means percent accepted mutations. The second one is the BLOSSOM matrix, which is block substitution matrix. The PAM matrix, which is percent accepted mutation, was first devised by Margaret DeHaaf. She constructed these matrices using 85% sequences of 1500 protein sequences. Then she generated a matrix. Based on that, it was further modified to PAM62 and PAM250. So the basic logic for the PAM matrix is that highly homologous protein sequence should be used to generate a matrix. So the mutation in residues observed were not expected to be significantly changing the common function of the protein or homologous protein. It also should be considered to be accepted by natural selections. So to generate a PAM matrix, the mutation should not change the function of the protein, or it should not change the family. It should not vary the protein to different family. So that is one of the major criteria for PAM matrix. In general, the protein sequence has to be clustered based on the phylogenetic reconstruction using maximum parsimony. PAM matrices are developed by the DeHaaf, as I discussed in previous slide. To construct a PAM matrix, you need to first generate a phylogenetic tree using parsimony principle. You must have learned about the parsimony principle in the phylogenetic module. So to count the number of substitutions happen along the tree for a particular amino acid residue, so we basically calculate the number of times the amino acid residue get mutated from a common ancestor divided by total number of times the residues occurred in a sequence alignment. So if you take a sequence alignment, how many times the number of the amino acid getting repeated? That is one point. Second point is that how many times the amino acid getting mutated from the sequences. Then you normalize the expected residue substitution. That means you normalize the frequency of the expected residue by random chance and number of times it's getting mutated. Then you take a logarithmic transformation to the base of 10 of the normalized mutability value divided by the frequency of the particular residue. Then the score is rounded to the nearest integer and placed into the substitution matrix as the likelihood for the amino acid getting substituted. So by completing all the substitution matrix, we try to establish the possibility of the amino acid mutation in a 20 by 20 PAM matrix for the protein sequences. So here is an example for an PAM1 evolution distance matrix. So on the right side you see a matrix which has on the top panel you have the original sequence, and the left panel you have the replacement sequence. That means, for example, you take alanine, how many times it's getting replaced, how many times the alanine is been occurred in the sequence is been calculated, how many times the alanine is replaced by the arginine is also been calculated. So based on this you calculate the substitution matrix. This matrix is the PAM matrix is always calculated with 85% sequence identity. Okay, first it was generally generated by Margaret in 1978 using 85% sequence identity sequence. So the PAM unit basically measures the evolutionary distance, how far the amino acid getting mutated. So here what you are seeing is the PAM1 matrix. That means one PAM unit indicates the probability of 1 point mutations per 100 amino acid residues. So if you multiply the PAM1 by itself the higher number, then you describe the larger evolutionary distance. For example, if you multiply the PAM1 with 62, then it becomes PAM62. If you multiply the same PAM1 with 250, then it becomes 250. That means 250 times that larger evolutionary distance can be calculated using the PAM matrices. Previous slide we were discussing about the PAM matrices. PAM matrices is based on Dayhoff model which has a limited value because the substitution rate are derived from the alignment of sequence which are having 85% sequence identity. So PAM matrix analysis has very limited usage because it cannot be used for more diverse sequence. It cannot be used for more diverse, and analysis cannot be done using PAM matrices. So they further developed of the another matrix called Blossom matrix, where blocks of aligned sequence are taken into account, and these blocks of aligned sequence help in doing sequence alignment for the diverse sequences. So I discussed about the PAM and Blossom matrices. So let's see the difference between the PAM and Blossom matrices. PAM matrices are based on explicit evolutionary model, that is replacement or accounted on the branches of the phylogenetic tree, whereas Blossom matrix are based on the implicit model rather than the explicit model of evolution. So except PAM1, all the PAM matrices like PAM62, PAM250 are derived from the evolutionary model. So PAM matrices are used most often for reconstructing the phylogenetic trees, whereas Blossom matrices consists entirely of direct observations. Whatever is observed during the sequence alignment, it is taken into direct account, and statistics analysis are done based on that. Another thing is that PAM matrix is based on global alignment of full length sequences. So it takes global alignment and it search for conserved regions, and also it search for variable regions, and based on those regions they'll try to find out the amino acid substitutions. Whereas Blossom matrices has less evolutionary meaning because it doesn't take into account of the evolutionary meaning when compared to that of PAM matrices. In PAM matrices, sequence variability in the alignment are used to count the replacement. In PAM matrices, the mutations are observed throughout the global alignment, and it is also included in the highly conserved and highly mutatable regions also. Whereas the Blossom matrices are derived from a large or more representative data, the one which is used to derive PAM matrices, then the value for the PAM matrices are more reliable and compared to that of PAM matrices. So the Blossom matrices outperforms PAM matrices in terms of accuracy of the local alignment. The alignment is also based on the highly conserved region in the series of alignment forbidden or to contain gaps. So far we were discussing about the dynamic programming and we were discussing about the PAM and Blossom matrices. Now let's see about heuristic method. For searching in a sequence database, first we need to look at for an algorithm which is sensitive enough to find correct hit, that means true positive results. Then we look for selectivity, specificity of the search result, that means ability to disregard the false positive results. Then we also look for the speed, that is the time taken to get results from the database search. So dynamic program, which is like PAM matrix, it's also a very good algorithm but it is computationally very intensive. So to overcome this problem, heuristic method is a well-known empirical method which gives optimum solution for database search with given less time space. The two well-known heuristic methods are BLAST and FASTA. BLAST is nothing but basic local alignment search tool. FASTA means fast all. So FASTA, this is first fast sequence searching algorithm for comparing a query sequence against a database. BLAST, which is a basic local alignment search technique, improved version of FASTA, which has search which improves in speed and it is easy to use and it uses very good statistical rigor analysis. So basic idea for an alignment is a good alignment contains subsequence of absolute identity, that means short length of exact search. Okay, so first it will identify very short exact matches, then the best short hits from the first steps are extended to the longer region of the similarity. Then finally you find the best hits which are further optimized by scoring. So let's describe one of the heuristic method, FASTA. FASTA alignment is based on the logic of dot plot matrix method. So first we align the sequence diagonally and compute best diagonals from all frames of alignment. For example, in the left side you see two sequence A and sequence B. So you start in dot matrix, you start putting dot, whereas in case of FASTA you take a small stretch and you start aligning. So once you finish the alignment, you follow the diagonal pathway as you observed in the Smith-Waterman algorithm. The method looks exactly same between here. What we use that for word length. For example, for nucleotide sequence, the word length is of 6 nucleotide long, that which is called as ketub. For the protein, the ketub is 2 amino acid long. So this, based on this alignment, you follow the diagonal path. After you find the diagonal path, the algorithm tries to join all the diagonals by adding gaps and compute the alignment in the regions of best diagonals. So here we see in the first left panel you see the alignment, then second panel you see that the alignment has been optimized. This alignment optimization is done by using PAM matrices. That means you try to see which amino acid can be substituted during the evolutionary. So you introduce that one and you rescore the alignment of the Smith-Waterman algorithm. Then you again rescore and the diagonal analysis has been done. Then you see after doing the top, after taking account of top scoring diagonal analysis, you finally optimize the alignment to create a dynamic algorithm. So once you do the diagonal alignment and you want to score how the alignment looks like, how do we judge which diagonal alignment is very good? So for that we need to have an assessment. So the significance of the alignment is assessed by the Z value or E score. So to calculate the Z score, random alignments are made, then the scores are calculated. Randomly the alignments are made, then you do scoring for each alignment. Then a mean and a standard deviation for the random scores is being calculated. So once the mean and random scores has been, standard deviation is calculated, for each alignment score, the actual deviation from the mean and standard deviation is being taken into account, and based on that the set score is calculated. So the formula looks what is shown here, Z equal to mean x divided by standard deviations. So this gives the probability of Z value, which is also called as E score. This E score is not equivalent to P values, which is used for statistical analysis, where the P value less than 0.05 is generally considered as a statistically significant. So this E score is not equivalent to the P values which has been reported in all statistical analysis. Here the E values are become significant when the value is below 10 power minus 6, which is considered probable statistically significant. E value is above 10 power minus 6 but below 10 power minus 3, then it deserved a second look. That means the alignment need to be looked into upon. So where you need to change some values or increase the gap penalty, then you do the realignment. If the E value is above 10 power minus 3, then it should not be considered, it should be thrown out with a great force. So basic local alignment search tool, that is BLAST, it was first developed by all schools at 1990, where they have published 3 or 4 papers for the basic search alignment, where they optimize the algorithm. It is a heuristic method using a local alignment. This algorithm is designed specifically for database search. That means if you have a query sequence, you can search against most of the database, and it is very less time consuming. You must have been used in many of the EMBL servers where you put the sequence and search against a protein database. This is the most widely used. It is also based on the assumption that FASTA use that good alignments contain short lengths of exact matches, where you see diagonally you find out the alignment and find the best fit. So both this BLAST and FASTA search or local sequence finds the local sequence similarity search. They are exactly have the same goal, though they have somewhat different algorithm, and the statistical approaches between these two programs are slightly different. BLAST is more beneficiary. That means it has very good speed, it is user friendly, and it has very good statistical rigor analysis, and it is more sensitive to give a better sequence analysis and better sequence alignment, and better for searching against the large databases. So BLAST has the benefits of speed, and it is also user friendly, and it has very good statistical rigors. So let's take an example here. So you have a query sequence of length L, which is shown on the left side. So first what you do is that you do a scoring. To do a scoring, you take a word length. That is, here we have taken 3 for protein. So you take N, T, Y as a word length and keep on searching the word length, and you do a scoring by subtracting the word length with respect to that of the small, with respect to that of the whole length sequences. Then once you do this alignment for each 3-letter code, then you see how many matches has been found. So this matches, then you also see how many mutations has been observed for each one. So you do calculate a PAM matrix. It is PAM 250 matrix. It is calculated, and rescoring is done as it has been done in the FASTA. So you do a rescoring, then the entire T-score will be compared along the database to identify the exact match. So the T-score will be searched along. For example, here I am showing 3 databases: database 1, sequence 1, database sequence 2, database sequence 3. So the T-score will be aligned for along the database sequence 1 and database sequence 3. Like, do a search along all 3 databases. Then you break down the sequences and attempt to find an alignment for a segment, like, which is called as the high scoring segment pairs. So you search for the high scoring segment pairs, then you do one line alignment in both end of the alignment. Like, for example, you find matches in each databases, then you extend the alignment to the end of the sequences, then you combine all the high scoring segment pairs and you rescore. So that's how the BLAST algorithm finds a best sequence alignment, and the scoring will be assessed by the E-score, as I discussed earlier in the slides. So here is an example which I discussed about, that searching for a T-score along database 1, database 2, database 3. So here is, I have done a sequence alignment for a particular query sequence. So once you do a BLAST against a selected database, it can be an nucleotide database, it can be a protein database, it can be any gene databases. So here I have used a protein database, and I blasted a protein against a protein database. After BLAST, you will get a results as shown in this here. The query which represents my sequence of interest, the subject is the one which is the one taken from the database. So after aligning, it gives me a score, how much amount of alignment has been happened, how many amino acids are getting exact matches has been found, how many similar amino acids has been found. So based on that, it gives me a statistics value. For example, here you see identity. That means exactly, for example, methionine is matched with methionine, threonine matched with threonine, like that. You have same identical amino acids of 132 out of 169 query sequences. So total you have 78% sequence identity matching in the database. Second part you see is the positivity. That means similar amino acids. That means hydrophobic amino acid is being replaced by hydrophobic amino acid, or it can be a hydrophobic smaller amino acid is being replaced by hydrophobic amino acids. Like that you have positivity. Out of 147 amino acids are matching, having a same positivity value. So if you do a percentage, then it becomes 86% homology are there. That means similar amino acids been replaced, similar physical chemical property amino acids been replaced with the sequence alignment. Then if you see a gap, there is no gap in this alignment, there is no gap. This is one of the examples, but it's not necessary that all the alignments will be having like without gaps. There will be sequence alignment where you will have a gap. So in those regions you will see how many amino acids are being extended. Like for example, if two proteins are there and if they are homologous to a certain extent, and in due to evolution it has evolved with a loop being inserted into the protein, so those loops won't be matched with your query sequence. So you will see certain how much length, based on the length of the loop you will have the gap. So if you have 10 amino acid loop, then the gap will be 10 out of 169. That means almost 10% of it is there. So that will be reflected on the gap penalty. So in this one, the bit score, which gives the good indication how good the alignment is. The higher bit score, better is the alignment. So let's understand how the BLAST output results looks like. So in the left hand side you see a graphical interface or graphical display of the BLAST output. So it shows a query sequence which is shown in a color, and it tells about the how big is the sequence. I mean the length of the sequence is also been shown. It has been divided into different lengths. It has been indicated. So the query sequence has been aligned against the database sequence, proteins which are aligning with this query sequence. Then you get a hit list, that means name of the sequence, ranking of the sequence, how good they are aligned, how good they have the sequence similarity, it's also been listed. Then you have a pairwise alignment for each query sequences, and each pairwise alignment and their scoring will also be reported. If you click the red color link, it will go exactly to the pairwise alignment and it will tell about the sequence identity, sequence homology, the bit score and the gap penalty. Everything will be shown. It also lists various parameters for the BLAST search, which I will be discussing in further slides. So here you see that alignment score, pairwise alignment score to various sequences in the database. So you see here different types of ubiquitin protein like as SA1, TPA, E3 ubiquitin protein. So on the right side you see how much score it has been taken and what is the E value and how much identity it has. The first one, obvious, you will see that 100% identity, that means each and every amino acid is getting matched. Then you get 97%, that means one of the sequence is not getting matched. So all these informations you will get from the BLAST output. On the right side you will get the accession ID for the sequence which is getting being aligned from the database. So the bit score basically measures the similarity between two sequences. Higher the number, better is the match. And the E value, so lower the E value, better is the alignment. If E is 0 means then the sequence are identical, as shown in the example. If E is 0, then you get 100% identical sequence alignment. As a rule of thumb, E score with 10 power minus 4 is not necessarily good, or anything lower than 10 power minus 4 is certainly having a good homology. Apart from the graphical displays, you will have a text document also, which will tell about more details about the BLAST output. So on the right hand side, I am showing you what are the information you will get from the BLAST output. So you will get number of letters in the data, that means how many number of amino acid letters has been searched for. Then number of sequences in the database, how many sequences has been searched for this query sequence. Then what matrix it's been used, either it's BLOSUM 62 or it's a PAM matrix, what matrix is been used, it will tell. Then number of hits, how many amino acids or how many database, from the database how many protein sequence or DNA sequence been aligned. Then after alignment, what is the number of sequence in those hits. Then number of successful extension, that means first it finds for the local high specific scoring regions, then how well is the extensions to the end of the sequence. Then you will also get information about the how many number of sequences are having a better score than 10. Then now how many number of high scoring regions has been found. Then the length of the query which is used for searching the database. Then the length of the database, what is the length of the database. Then effective search page and effective page use, everything, all informations will be available on the output of the BLAST. If one would scan a random database with a random sequence, each pair of query database would entry and result in some alignment. However, if this is repeated billions of times, some high score will occasionally occur. For a given score, the expected number of random matches increases with the size of the database. So, FASTA and BLAST estimates this each score and the number of matches that would obtain by a chance alone and gives a E value, so which is being used for the statistical analysis. So we seen how the BLAST output comes out. So we have different types of BLAST programs. The example which I showed was with the protein sequences. But apart from protein BLAST, there are different types of 5 types of BLAST programs. One is called BLAST-TN, that means you'll use nucleotide as a query sequence and you'll search against the database, nucleotide database, and your alignment will be in a nucleotide level alignment. That is BLAST-TN. So if you go for BLAST-P, that means your query sequence will be protein sequence and you will be aligning against the protein database and the alignment will be in the protein level. Next is the BLAST-X, that means you'll use query sequence and it will be translated into protein sequence and it will be searched in the protein database and the alignment will be shown in the protein level. So you use nucleotide, it gets translated. Once it gets translated, it gets searched against the protein databases. Then the alignment will be shown for the protein level. T-BLAST-N is the one where you use protein sequences and it gets reverse translated. That means it will be changed into DNA nucleotide sequences and it will be searched against the DNA nucleotide databases, but the alignment will be shown in the protein level. So it is protein sequence translated in the nucleotide sequence and searched against the nucleotide database, and again it will be reverse translated into the protein level and the alignment will be shown. T-BLAST-X is the one where you use nucleotide sequence and the search will be done against the nucleotide database, but the output result will be in a protein sequence level. So the alignment will be shown in the protein sequence level. So these are the 5 different types of BLAST programs which can be used to search your query of protein interest or protein nucleotide sequence against the available database in the servers, NCBI servers. So let's take an example, BLAST-N. That means you are taking a query sequence as nucleotide and you are searching against the nucleotide database. So you take a double stranded DNA molecule that may occur in either strand. That means the gene can be from 5' to 3' or 3' to 5'. That means reverse complement. If the query sequence and the database subject sequence is on the same strand, then it is called plus sequence alignment. If the query sequence in minus strands, that is reverse complement, and it is similar to the database and it will search for a database sequence which has plus or minus, that means forward or reverse with subject sequence, then the sequence will be flipped, then the alignment will be done for the BLAST-N database. So now we'll see how the BLAST-X, BLAST-N and T-BLAST-X works. So here the DNA query sequence will be translated into 3 reading frames. So on both plus strand we'll have +1, +2, +3 frames. Then in the minus strand also, that means reverse complement also, you will take -1, -2, -3. All 6 frames will be taken. So if the query and the database subject sequence is on the same strand, then it is called plus, that means +1, 2, 3. That's how the sequence alignment will take. If the query sequence is in the minus strand, that means reverse complement, then the query sequence will be inverted, then the search will be done. So in T-BLAST-N, the alignment is similar to that of BLAST-X, which we explained in previous one. So here the only difference is that the database sequence and the query sequence will be exchanged. Means if the query sequence has a minus strand, the database sequence will be flipped and the alignment will be done. For the T-BLAST-X sequences, in this one, the alignment for both query and the database strand, either it can be plus or it can be minus, and it can have any frame +1 +2 or reverse complement frame. Any combination of frame can be aligned using tBlastX. So this is the best one which can be used for aligning a nucleotide sequence to get information about the protein. So we saw example for the BLAST search, how it is been used, how we saw that how the graphical interface graphical display, and what are the important information you get, like hits, you get positivity, you get homology, everything you can understand from the BLAST. If you use the default parameters which are available in the BLAST search, then you'll have some problems. The reason we need to change default parameters is to optimize the results. So BLAST default parameters works for most of the searches with optimum results. If you use default parameters, generally it works, but there are cases where we need to change the parameters. Like for example, the sequence might contains identical residues, or it might contains like protein rich region, amino acid rich, like aspartic acid rich region, then the alignment becomes BIOS compositions. Then we need to use sequence filtering or masking. Sometimes the BLAST does not give any results. For those regions, then we need to modify, either we need to improve the gap penalty, or you need to reduce the gap penalty, or you need to increase the BLAST search, or you need to decrease the word length which you are using for search. For those alignment, the substitution matrix or gap penalty or word length need to be changed to get a good results. Sometimes the search results may not be found due to match having a border cutoff of e value. You might be giving a e value cutoff of 10 power minus 6, which is a default. In those cases, we need to modify the cutoff so that you get some results out of the BLAST search. There are also times where BLAST reports too many matches. That means you'll get lots of hits with very good value threshold. So in those cases, we need to use filters. For example, in the human genome, you have lot of repeats. Due to these repeats, you'll get lots and lots of lots and lots of matches with high e value thresholds. In those cases, you need to use filter to get rid of those repeats, get rid of these conserved regions or low complexity regions. We need to use filters against those searches. So as we discussed about for not using a default parameters in the BLAST search in certain cases. So in those cases where you need some sort of sequence masking, what is sequence masking? So BLAST search makes assumption that average composition of any sequence is same as the average composition of the whole database. So BLAST assumes this as a default. So BLAST search does not hold true all time. So there will always be some sequence bias compositions like protein rich, aspartic acid rich, histidine rich, which is called as the low complexity regions, which leads to the sequence bias. Due to this bias, the alignment will yield very good E-score, but there is a good chance that this sequence are not at all related. Due to this low complexity regions, you'll always get very good E-scores. That means it doesn't mean that those two sequences are very highly aligned. For those sequences, it is better to do DNA maskings. So for example, if you take sequence alignment against most genomes which has repeats, particularly in human genomes which has 60% repeats, to avoid the interference of these repeats, we need to use human filters, repeat filters on. That means if you see here, there's an option called BLAST filter. So use the BLAST filter on, that means it will filter the repeats. On the right side, you see that you have options of filters like low complexities filters, human repeats filters, mask for look for table, like mask for lowercase, like that. You have different types of masks. So if you use these filters, then the sequence bias is completely removed, and whatever alignment you are getting from BLAST is reliable, and it can be have a very good functional implications for any search you are doing. Either it can be DNA search, DNA based sequence search or protein based sequence search. So far we were discussing about the pairwise sequence alignment using BLAST, FASTA search. Now let's discuss about multiple sequence alignment. So multiple sequence alignment is generally used for alignment of 3 or more biological sequence. Either it can be protein sequence or a nucleotide sequence of similar rate. So you do same sort of alignment, but you use different number of query sequence becomes more. So if you use 3, 4 or many sequence to do an alignment and to get an statistical idea about the sequence alignment between these query sequences. So there are different types of methods which is used, like for example, if you take cluster omega, the alignment is done using hidden Markov model, that is profile to profile technique to generate alignment. This will be more discussed in the model hidden Markov model. Then you have a K alignment, which is very fast multiple sequence alignment that concentrates on the local regions and then extends its alignment. So it doesn't bother about aligning the whole sequences. It will find out best local regions which is getting aligned. So K alignment is also one of the multiple sequence alignment, which is also useful in finding certain regions which are conserved, certain family regions, certain conserved active site or certain conserved domains can be found using K alignment. Then one more alignment method called MUSL, median alignment method, which is suitable for the multiple sequences of proteins. This is also similar to that of CLUSTAL-W. Then you have tCoffee, WebTranks, MView, all are multiple sequence alignment tools which are available at the EMBL EBI server. So let's see one example, that is CLUSTAL-W, which is more frequently used by many persons and researchers. So CLUSTAL-W was developed by Julian T. Thompson, Toby Gibson from the EMBL and Desmond Higgins from the European Bioinformatics Institute. So CLUSTAL-W is used basically for the multiple sequence alignment, manipulate, or it can be used to manipulate the existing alignment to do more good alignment, and you can be used for doing profile analysis, and it can be used for generating the phylogenetic tree analysis to get an information about the evolutionary relationship between the protein sequences and how the protein has been evolved from the species to species basis. The alignment can be done by two methods. One is slow accurate method or fast approximate method. So CLUSTAL-X provides a new window based interface similar to that of CLUSTAL program, which is used in the NCBI server. So these days it is called as CLUSTAL-Omega. So you won't be seeing the word CLUSTAL-W these days. It is called as CLUSTAL-Omega in EMBL server. So it is used as a multi-platform which can be downloaded and you can install it, and you can run standalone also, or you can run from the NCBI server. So for the more information about this tool, you can go to the NCBI software development toolkit and you can analyze how the CLUSTAL-W programs works, CLUSTAL-Omega, or the previously mentioned programs like tCoffee. All those programs can be downloaded or it can be used in the NCBI server. So we saw how the CLUSTAL-W uses the multiple sequence alignment. So it is the most well-known progressive alignment method. In general, CLUSTAL uses the BLOSUM 62 or PAM 120 matrices. We can also modify the BLOSUM 62, you can use other matrices also. In general, by default, CLUSTAL uses BLOSUM 62 and PAM 120. For more diverse sequences in later steps of progressive alignment, CLUSTAL might use BLOSUM 45 or PAM 250 matrices also. CLUSTAL alignment has a big advantage, that is it has an adjustable gap penalties that allow the user to change to include more insertions or deletions in the regions that are outside the conserved domain, but fewer in the, like if you want to do a insertion or if you want to include a deletions, this can be adjusted. It can be, the parameters can be changed in the CLUSTAL alignment. To explain in detail, a gap near a series of hydrophobic region carries more penalties than the one next to the series of hydrophilic regions or a glycine rich region, which is commonly observed in the loop regions. So we can change the gap value when you know that there is a hydrophobic region or a loop region is there. So you can change the gap penalty so that you get better alignment. Cluster has the option for penalizing the gap that are too close to one another occurring in the isolated locales. So there are a lot of advantages in the cluster alignment. So if you download the cluster W in a Windows platform, in order to run that cluster W, your input sequence, that means the protein sequence or any DNA sequence, it should be in the following format. Either it can be NBRF format, PIR, which is nothing but a greater than symbol followed by next line you will have the sequences, or it can be Pearson's format, FASTA format, which is also same, or it can be cluster W format, or it can be MMSF format or RSF format. More details will be available on the NCBI website. So once you have downloaded the program in the Windows platform, if you run the cluster W, you will have a lot of options to run the program. Like for example, here the 10 options you are seeing here. One is that to do complete alignment, that means it can be done slow, accurate, or to produce a phylogenetic tree, or do alignment using guide tree, or you can do slow, fast, pairwise alignment also, or pairwise alignment with parameters where you want to modify the parameters, that can be also done, or you want to do multiple sequence alignment that you are putting more than 3 sequences to do an alignment, or you want to introduce gap, or you want to switch off the gap. All the options are available when you run the cluster W based cluster W alignment in Windows platform. So assume that you run the cluster W program, and the program will ask for choice which program you want to do, which method you want to use. Either you want to do a slow accurate, or you want to do a fast accurate, or you want to generate a phylogenetic tree. So once you get the choice which alignment you want to do, assume that you have entered the choice of 5. The choice of 5 is nothing but pairwise alignment. So you want to do a sequence alignment, pairwise sequence alignment with a slow accurate alignment method, where you have chosen the gap penalty of 15, gap extension of 6.3, and protein weighted matrix as BLOSUM 30, and DNA weighted matrix as IUB. So these are the options which you have chosen, which can be modified also. You can modify this also. You can increase the gap penalty, you can extend the gap penalty. All these options can be modified. If you have chosen the 6, like for example multiple alignment parameters, where the gap penalty is 15, gap extension, all this value can be modified. If you want to modify, or if you want to keep the default parameters, you can keep and do a sequence alignment and see the results from the cluster W. So once you enter your choice, then if you do an alignment, you will, after modifying the gap penalty and extensions, your alignment will look like this, where you see that you have given a query sequence or query sequences, 8 query sequences, and you have asked for a multiple sequence alignment, and the alignment has been done using cluster W. So here you see semicolons, stars, and gaps. So semicolons are nothing but the similar amino acids are being aligned. If there is a star means same, it's they are identical amino acids. So if there is a blank means it's a mismatch amino acids. So in this example you don't see any gaps, but most of the times you will see when you do an alignments, you will always find some gaps. So gap will also be taken into account of cluster W alignment. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned from in this model. We learned about PAM, BLOSUM and all those matrices. We learned about BLAST and FAST also. Out of this, BLAST is the most useful database search tool which are currently used by the researchers. It is very reliable, but never always use the default parameters. It is always better to have a biological interpretations to evaluate the results. Always use low like mask filters for the low complexity region to get a better results. Also always try to search at the protein level to avoid the codon degeneracy. So use best substitution matrix like BLOSUM 62 if you are using completely diverse sequences. For a multiple sequence alignment, cluster is very much best characterized by optimizing scoring and gap penalty. We can use it very efficiently. Although today there are a lot of greediness with the result of clusters, which may be having some errors. So although the algorithm has been modified these days to fix this error, currently like programs like tcoffee, dbcluster has been developed to remedy this problem, combined with both global and local alignment to generate more sensitive alignments. Thank you for listening to this model and have a good day.